fuzzy on exactly where we're gonna end up with this, but that's the beauty of the process, because we'll try and do some problem definition, and I don't know, but I would like to try and get to a challenge map. I don't know if that's possible, but if we don't get to it, or if we get close to doing a challenge map, I don't want to rush it, because I think that's one of the most important pieces. So as the mayor said, up on the wall, how might we get the budget process to support the strategic plan? And as part of key facts, in an interest of time, I'm hoping that without writing them all down, we can all agree that on your agenda, fact 1, 2, be given as facts. And then you've got the 4, sort of under the comments, you've got the specifics of those 2 key facts. So can we just accept those as being part of the facts for tonight, and everybody okay with that, rather than writing them all down?
About the strategic plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
You're all okay with that? Okay. So based on what you have on your agenda and based on the fuzzy situation, I want to start with the question, why is this a problem? I'll just throw it out. Why is this a problem for you? And just as by way of recap, this is divergent, so I'm looking for quantity. Anything that comes up, we'll throw it down.
Why is this a problem?
So why is this a problem? Why is getting the budget process to support the strategic plan? Why is that a problem for you?
Well,
Why are we here?
just to get it going, I think a fact is there's a difference between the budget and the budget process. So initially, we're here to talk about the process, but we also could talk just about the budget itself. And then related fact to that is that we do want the budget, I think, to enliven the strategic plan. So it's some of the work that we do with the budget allows us then to move the strategic plan forward. So if that makes sense. So is there a difference between the budget and the budget process? And that I'm going to say on behalf of council that we want to make sure that the budget follows the strategic plan, supports the strategic plan.
Okay, so I heard that there's a difference between the budget and the budget process. Number 2 is we want the budget to enliven the strategic plan. And did you have a third fact in there?
No.
Okay.
I just
Anybody
rambled.
else? Sorry?
I just rambled.
No, I got it. That's good.
Thank you.
I'm getting used to it.
You have to review the process in light of the strategic plan to ensure that it is actually aligned. We can't take it for granted that it is, simply because that's the way it's been done before.
So we don't know if the budget is aligned with the strategic plan?
We don't know until we test it.
Okay. Okay.
I'll throw out a couple. We have some short-term financial challenges.
Okay.
The reason I put that out is we have some short-term financial challenges given some of the projects that we are envisioning, but we haven't really prioritized the priorities in the strategic plan. So if we're going to try and align the budget with the strategic plan, I think we need to not just kind of have a shotgun approach, but we need to prioritize those priorities so that we can drive the right priorities by the budget, if that makes sense. It's kind of a circuitous argument, but.
Really? No, I won't. How to state this by diverging?
We need to prioritize this.
The priorities.
Sort of along the same lines that Councillor Kirsty was saying, but to consider the opposite perspective, which is that all the objectives within the strategic plan need to be treated within the process and ultimately the budget.
All items in the strategic plan need to be dealt with.
That's right.
through the
They're
budget.
there because they're important, therefore they all should be reflected both in the process and the budget. That's us diverging.
SP strategic plan, just so you know.
I'm gonna be more sort of specific, but there's only limited dollars.
Budget.
That doesn't make sense to me.
So
Sorry?
Darren, there's only limited dollars. And there's, you know, not unlimited, but I would say there's greater desire in the community than dollars available, maybe something like that. Yet greater desire than dollars available, something like that, Darren.
More community desire than money,
Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
The adoption of an asset management approach may necessitate a change in the budget process. Probably not may, but will.
Okay,
I think a fact is the capital budget requires staff to identify which strategic goal it aligns to. The operating budget does not.
okay. What's the problem you're trying to solve here?
I think the ultimate problem is what I said under number 2, which is how might we ensure that the budget helps us fulfill the strategic plan.
And if you were to solve that problem, what would you have that you don't currently have?
If we were to solve that problem, so
Yeah, so
the
how might
strategic,
the budget
yeah.
fulfill the strategic plan? So if it did that, what would you have that you currently don't have? We'd become financially, we'd meet those goals. We'd become financially resilient for the next 20 years. We would provide an environment so our businesses can thrive. We'd enhance the quality of our life of our town and feel like a small town. Like, we'd meet those goals, those 4 goals. Agree? Or someone agree, or?
add to it, build on it.
Okay, I don't want to beat this to death. Maybe I'll just get a few more key facts and then we can move on.
Can always do it better.
Okay, any other burning facts?
Well,
I don't want to spend too much time on fact finding because really, again, the goal is to try and get to a challenge map so we can map this thing out, so.
One of the things that we're trying to solve is the funding issue in the short term.
So we need to solve our short-term funding shortage. Okay,
John, you have something? John has
I'm
something.
just thinking that not only the short term, we need to be cognizant of our mid and long-term goals as well. Okay, yes, we need something immediately in the short term, but we have to be looking at mid and long term as well.
okay.
The current process, council is not always aware of the wish list of the various departments. And having that might help us be aware of what's coming down the pipe in the short, medium, and long term. So, for example, here, the draft capital, all the wish list goes to the CAO and treasurer. It's filtered at that point, and then we get a sort of a cleaned up version at the draft capital budget. But I think it might be helpful to see the wish list of the directors, because that might help us to see the full scope of what's going on in that department and to help us prioritize. So I think that might be a useful change in the process.
No, I'll leave that.
Okay,
Just to build on that, we did discuss this, I think Gary touched on it, that there is an evaluation criteria. That,
here's a bitch.
there's an evaluation that's done. Gary said that he said, used the word filter, but,
Yeah, we did one last year for the first time, yeah.
right. So, it's just the fact that there is an evaluation criteria for that. Peter, how are you?
I'm tired. Frickin' day.
Oh, nice.
Chief says hello.
Okay, maybe what we can do then, I'll say we'll pair up. Is there any objection to council pairing up with a staff member? Is that okay? Okay, so Richard and Paula, Catherine and Barb, Carrie and John, the mayor and Andrea, Peter and Bob, and Gary and Vicky, Marv and Nancy. Okay, you get 2 dots. If you could pick your 2 most important facts, make sure you don't forget to write them down. And then we'll go around and just explain why you picked them.
Harry, what's the very last word on his last name?
2 dots, did you say?
Yeah.
On 19, the one that was moved up?
On 19?
Okay.
Well,
Both of them are 16, 17, 18.
But the one, it's like in the middle of the page on the right-hand
there are
side.
two dots.
It moved up.
Oh,
I'm gonna try to solve.
missions.
I'll keep taxes down, keep people happy.
Great.
Everyone good for dots?
This one's fine.
Remember, you have to agree, you can't each pick one you like, you have to agree on both the ones that you pick.
Which ones are we picking from here?
There's 1980.
I'm just also doing
If you knew, like right now you're on call, but not for the time. Trying to figure out how to make it. Right. But some of these other things, we might just say, okay, right. So I can do that. Yep.
Like me, I wait 10 minutes and then.
How's your weekend?
It was really good.
Good.
Yeah. They did the, yeah.
Well, they did it last year too. Provide input, but they changed it so that she
See the property the first time. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet.
Were they impressed?
And the first day was very dull and rainy. And they said, yeah, it's nice. The second day it was sunny and warm, and the sun sparkled off the water. And they said, this is gorgeous.
The difference the sunshine makes.
You wouldn't even know he's going, he doesn't even talk about it.
He said I can go for him.
They say a bad day at the cottage is better than a good day in the office.
Absolutely.
I'll look at you like, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you? Good.
Good day. How are you doing?
We sit next to each other and I didn't say hi to you.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Is everybody done?
pick number 4. Who picked them and why? Who picked number 4? Why'd you guys pick that?
Wait, I think they're still close to deciding?
Oh, sorry, you're not done yet? I thought you were finished.
Yeah, we're done.
You're done? Everyone's done?
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. Why did you pick that?
It seems to Nancy and I that the crunch is the short-term challenge with the light of the projects that we got coming on in the next year or two. And I think if we can find the answer to those challenges, everything else may indeed fall into line.
Okay, another group picked this?
Peter and I did.
Yeah. Anything to add?
On the same line of thought.
Okay, good. Two groups, number 5, we need to prioritize the priorities in the strategic plan. Two groups picked that. So we picked that in line.
Barb?
Vicki and I picked that one. We felt that, well, we have these priorities laid out. There's no dollar values attached to them, no comprehension really of the dollar implications and budgetary implications. So we felt that there was a need to sort of have a look at the priorities or establish a list of priorities and then attach dollar values to them so that that will help drive our current budget and future budgets.
Okay, another group picked that?
That was us. Barb, are you addressing it?
Sure. So, yeah, we picked that one because we felt we need to understand what the priorities are so that we can understand short, medium, and long-term goals. And we felt that that's really what we need as a starting basis for the budget.
Two groups pick all projects in the strategic plan need to be considered in the strategic plan and the budget process.
Yeah, Paul and I picked that as one of ours. The strategic plan that we've developed has all those elements in it because all of those are important. The totality of that is our strategic plan. We were responding, I think, to the item before about prioritizing some, which would suggest that some come ahead of others. I can understand scheduling and things like that, but in terms of the vision that we have for the town, it includes all of those things, and so somehow this process needs to end up supporting them all. Planning it may offer some opportunities, but certainly they all need to be supported. That is the vision.
Okay, another group picked that?
So Andrew and I picked that one. It's similar in that, you know, what it says need to be considered in the strategic plan and budget process. I think there was the comment about capital and operating and all that. So just wanting to see those projects and how it fits in. It's sort of an overarching goal of the budget process and the strategic plan.
Okay, good. Number 9, adoption of asset management may require a change in the budget process. One group picked that. Who picked that? And why'd you pick it?
Vicki and I did. Again, the thinking was that the asset management plan is really the global base to govern the management of all of the assets of the town. And if we really incorporate that asset management plan and understand what it's all about, then that will establish short, medium, and long-term goals and will drive the budget process, because then we'll understand how those assets are changing over time and the dollars that'll be necessary to support and develop assets. So I think it's sort of the core of the new approach to budgeting.
Good. Number 11, how might the budget fulfill the strategic plan? Two groups picked that. Who picked that and why?
Carrie and I picked that, and we felt that that was the key to this whole exercise. The strategic plan is driving everything that we're doing. So in other words, the focus to that will give us light as to what we need to plan for, how we need to plan for it, and it will build into all of the things that were said there. I think that is the key. That's the bottom of the funnel. Everything's going to work into it.
Okay, the other group picked that?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, go ahead.
John said most of it right there. It'll bring us to this while we're here, so.
Okay. Number 16, we need to also focus on mid-long-term budget goals. 4 groups picked that, so who picked that and why?
Mayor and I picked that because we want to open up the scope, because one of the strategic plan goals is about 20 years from now. So perhaps we should try to align that better with what the budget vision is too.
Okay. You group picked that?
Nancy, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or she nailed it pretty good?
I think she nailed it well. I'm
Okay.
doing this as well, so I don't know.
2 more groups picked it. Any,
Yeah, Carrie and I picked that as well, and just what Andrew was saying, that we focus on the mid and long term. We've already dealt with some of the short term stuff, and that tells us where we go. That's actually our roadmap.
Okay, good. There was one other group. Is there?
Yeah, we picked that one as well. Just again, usually the, the budget in terms of the current budget always deals with the current stuff, but there's less emphasis on the medium and long-term goals, and those are the things that can often fall off the rails, and so we need to kind of keep a focus on those.
Okay, good. 17, one group picked it. Council is not always aware of department wish lists.
Councilor Rubik and I picked that one, and it really goes hand in hand with 18 as well. We just think it's important that council see what the entire department's package was before it gets chopped up into the smaller pieces. We thought this way you can see a whole overview of exactly what the department head was hoping to accomplish that year.
Good. Okay, so now we've heard how, or now we've heard why each group has picked what they did. Now, as you know, we want to try and telescope in on a few of these. So we want to get it from the 18 facts that we have down to a manageable few. And I'm seeing a couple of themes here. I'm seeing one around asset management. That seems to be sort of a bit of a theme. Mid and long term seems to be a theme which ties into capital assets. So, and then again, you've got your mid and long, and then again you've got your short term. So there's just sort of the three: short, medium, and long. And what is the impact of your asset management plan, and how does the asset management plan drive the medium and long term financial goals? So that's just kind of what I've been seeing and hearing you say. So based on that and based on what each other said, is there areas here that we can look at boxing? Is there anything that just jumps out at you as something that you definitely want to box?
16?
Like 16? Sorry, 16 says we need to also focus on mid-long-term budget goals. 4 groups pick that. You weren't voting, but it seems to be a strong preference amongst the groups. Is that something that we want to box?
Yeah.
Yep,
For sure.
Yeah? Consensus, yes?
yes,
Box that one?
yes, yes.
Okay. And don't forget, we don't lose any of these facts, but we can bundle some of these other facts into the ones that you box, right? Is there another area that you think that we should look at boxing?
But this discussion in here at 5 and 6 about the elements of the strategic plan either being supported or prioritized or planned in some way, there seems to be a common theme in there somehow.
Okay, so do you want to box 5 and 6 together, or would that work for everybody? So it's basically prioritizing your priorities as they're outlined in the strategic plan?
Well, it's an element that draws a number together. I don't know.
Yeah, one is the projects need to be considered in the strategic plan and budget process. The other is they need to be prioritized. So you're saying they need to be considered and prioritized.
They all need to be supported, but they need to be planned in some way. That's what I'm kind of gathering from the discussion.
So circle 5 and 6.
There's something in there
Sorry,
that,
just as a fact-finding question though, when council develops their strategic plan and they put because we've done it pretty much annually in the last several years, 3 years or so, when you guys pick your main objectives to achieve, is that not for the year? Are you not saying those are your priority objectives, or are you saying those are objectives, but they're also to be considered in the medium and long term?
Well, I think if we look at our priorities, there are some here that you may nibble at in the short term, but are really not achievable maybe until the long term. It'd be a long-term process, but there are other things that are certainly more short-term and finite in the way that they're dealt with, so.
Yeah. So there are priorities, and those could change. The goals hopefully won't necessarily change. But then annually, there's the initiatives. So to build on what Gary said, the priorities might be longer-term priorities, but the initiatives that staff are doing are essentially sort of in that year. That's what you're saying?
I was fact-finding, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking whether or not the priorities in the strategic plan, not the goals, the priorities, are based on that year that they're reviewed. Because your priorities have changed every year we've done a strategic plan. So they haven't stayed, so it's not like your priorities have stayed static and we've come in and changed the initiatives. The priorities have changed, and they changed a lot this last term after the feedback from the election, as you recall. So there's a lot more emphasis on some things. For example, if you look at this strategic plan, there's no mention of walkability. But in the previous two, walkability was on pretty much every page. So it does change year to year.
well. So just to break down what you said for clarification, the fact 2, strategic plan priorities, you see those as being applicable this year, and the budget ought to be built around those this year, but we're not held to them in subsequent years. They may evolve, they may change. I see, for example, that we have offering public transportation to Pelham residents as a priority this year. Presumably, it won't appear on next year's because it's done. It'll be replaced with something.
Taking off my facilitator hat, putting on the participant
Yes.
hat, yes, I agree. My perception has been that the objectives laid out in council at the beginning of the term with the strategic plan are for a period of 1 year, and that we'll head back into an update at the very least in January with an update to the strategic plan. So it's a fluid, moving document. If that's not what council was thinking, then maybe we need to think about how we nail down on sort of more of a I guess a tactical yearly strategic plan with initiatives that or objectives rather, that you're hoping to achieve in that particular year, rather than planning out, 5 or 10 years in the future. So that's a decision of council, but I think it's something that needs to be clarified so that we know what what we're building our initiatives around underneath that. So I'll put my hat back on now.
So let me continue my point, if I may, Mr. Mayor. So your fact two, strategic plan goals, you see as being longer term. Those are things that are roughly going to remain the same year after year. So when we're talking about the process needing to support the strategic plan, and we're talking about medium and long-term goals as well, then it's really those goals that we're talking about needing to be supported, whereas the plan priorities can in fact be prioritized. Some will be dropped off simply because we don't need it anymore. Okay, that clarifies it for me. Thank you very much.
And I would suggest that that's more about the strategic plan.
Yeah.
So about this, so you've done your fact-finding, how does that help you facilitate this
What I'm
process and the
saying is, if you
decision?
wanted to box number 5, we need to prioritize the priorities in the
Yes, we do.
strategic plan. What I'm hearing you say is that we may not be entirely clear on how that strategic plan process works year to year, at least what the objectives of council are versus what the goals of council are. So if we box that, that might be a good place to start, because that's your roadmap, and we follow that. It's not like other places where we just ignore it. Like, we follow your strategic plan by the letter all year long, and that's what we live by. So our entire performance management process for staff is predicated on that strategic plan.
I believe it should be boxed.
So-
Number 5.
There was a suggestion that 5 and 6 be put together, you're
I
saying?
think 6 will go into.
I think 6 can go into 5, but is there any disagreement on boxing 5, prioritizing the priorities?
No, that's good.
Does everyone agree with that one? Then does anyone disagree with putting 6 into 5?
No.
Number 4, short-term financial challenges in light of potential projects. The suggestion is to put that into 16 so that there would be a focus on short, mid, and long-term budget goals. Is that acceptable to everyone? Or do you want to leave your short-term separate?
No, put that all together, because once the short-term goal or issue has been solved, the midterm becomes a short-term likely. So, if to put them all together, I think they work in tandem, right?
So what are you
So
suggesting?
putting the short-term into the 16 as well. So we're focusing on,
Number 4, which says short-term financial challenges in light of potential projects, would be bundled into
No,
16,
I
which
don't
says
think
we
so.
need to also focus on mid, long-term budget goals.
once the short-term is done, Dave, it comes off the board, it's no longer a priority, therefore, something in the midterm may become a priority to start with at that time, the short-term. As it moves on, it's a work in progress.
I see them as separate, and I don't know if any groups of the 4 that did the 16
That's fine.
did or
So-
didn't do the 4.
But this seems important, though. Short-term financial goals are
Yeah.
something that you're gonna have to deal with. So
Yeah.
is this something that we can agree to
So
box?
I'm
then?
just saying box them separate, don't put them
Okay,
together.
that's fine.
Is that okay to box our short-term challenges? Yeah?
And box 16. Oh, we did.
We got 60 boxed already,
Yeah.
so, okay. Something around the capital asset piece I don't think we've captured. Is there anything on here that you might wanna look at as far as that? We had number 9, adoption of asset management plan may require a change in the budget process.
That may go into 16.
I think that's the tool that we use in 16.
Okay, so put 9 into 16 then? Yeah, okay, good. Is there anything else you wanna box up here? I think from the themes I heard, I think you've captured them. But again, if there's anything else, it doesn't have to be something that you showed a preference towards either. It could be something that you haven't, that now makes a little bit more sense, so. You don't need to rule anything out.
So would 11 go into 5 if in fact
Yeah, I think
a lot of what we do is driven by the strategic plan? We really have to,
Yeah, so 11 into 5? Yeah. Okay, good. Are we okay with these? Okay, so let's move into doing some how might we's then. Well, it's 5:47. Do you want to try and get some how might we's down? Because we still need to converge on them. Yeah, keep going? Okay, so you have your three key facts that you converged on. So let's try and come up with at least 15 how might we's around those key facts. So who wants to start with that?
God, it's so hard to see.
So the how might we's are, sorry, what are the facts, or
Sorry,
somebody?
the facts are short-term financial challenges in light of potential projects. The second key fact is we need to prioritize the priorities in the strategic plan. And the third fact is we need to also focus on the mid-long-term budget goals. So let me go first. How might we focus on mid-long-term budget goals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I throw out a variation?
Feel
of
free to
that
move
one?
around.
Does that catch you? How might we be cognizant of short, medium, and long-term budget goals? So that's kind of a cross between both boxes. Short, medium, and long, so all three.
Okay.
Sorry.
How might we understand staff's wish list?
So I'll write it as you said it, because I almost wrote, how might we understand staff's wishes, but you may not want to go there, right?
Not all of them.
All right.
Gary has one, right,
Yeah.
Gary?
how might council and staff understand asset management?
John?
How might we differentiate between needs and wishes?
Anyone else? I got a couple on my thought catcher here. How might we review the strategic plan ahead of the budget process? Maybe that's an idea, but anyways. And how might we get an update on the strategic plan's progress, or progress of the strategic plan? Short-term financial challenge in light of potential projects. Need to prioritize projects. How might
Okay.
we
Another one?
prioritize?
Halfway there.
How might we marry the asset management plan to the mid and long-term goals?
It's 11.
Can't see. Read it.
Okay.
How might we adopt a budget which addresses our short-term financial needs?
Well said.
How might we adopt the budget that?
Addresses
Addresses.
our short-term financial needs.
As owners, participants, and insurance.
Anything to do with finance.
Another one?
How might we save and plan for medium and long-term budget goals?
Medium and long term?
Yes, budget goals.
May I ask a fact-finding question?
Yeah.
When is the strategic planning done, or when is that plan reviewed?
Well, the last time, because the election, we did it in December.
January, I think.
January.
Early January.
Previously, we had done it in the spring, didn't we, in the summer?
I think it's always been
Early in the year.
early in the calendar year.
Yeah, we do it in the cold. During the snowstorm.
We do it in the wintertime.
Yeah, during a snowstorm.
Always in a snowstorm.
Such happy, warm feelings.
That's when you
Okay,
go
so
to.
yeah, there you go, it's early in the year.
Is there a reason? Is it
I
up
don't know, it's
for-
just the way that it happened. I'm not sure if there's a stark reason, I just know that,
Killer phrase, I think. We've always done it that way.
I did not say that.
No, I think what happened is,
See, that's what happens when you say that.
Somebody's talking to
Dying
you.
from above.
Yeah.
After a new
can't
council.
talk anymore.
certain
No.
things.
I think it's because when a new council's formed, one of the first things they do is a strategic plan, which is sort of in the start of the calendar year. And then
Just do it annually
just
thereafter.
keep doing it sort of annually or reviewing it or every couple of years or whatever, and it's that timing. But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be ahead of the budget, which is what I was sort of hinting at.
Okay, so then a key fact would be for you, how might we do the strategic plan before the budget? Is that what you're saying? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Where do you want to put them, Vicky? Is that what you're asking? Vicky, do you want to put them up here? Over there, if you don't mind? Or get a friend to help you, or?
We don't care? Okay.
What?
Okay, how about three more?
How might we identify costs related to priorities?
Costs related to priorities?
Identified in the strategic plan.
Okay. Another one?
How might we build a resilient strategic plan and budgeting protocol? So when you ask the question about why do we do it every year?
Budget.
Yeah.
So Peter, it was strategic plan and budget protocol? Okay.
So it's consistent throughout our term, and that,
Sorry, it was,
it's a budget protocol that is consistent. And I may not use the right word, but is constantly, you don't need to keep changing it. It sets a framework, and you use that framework to build upon. The mayor is saying is our goals, our raison d'etre. Why do we exist? Why are we here? That's right.
I don't think we have, how might we prioritize the list of strategic priorities, right? That was the number 5 up there. I don't think we have how might we out of that yet.
okay. Just to go back to 13, your framework to build on and your strategic plan and all that, that's almost the same as, if I hear what you're saying, that's almost the same as determining what your compelling customer need is.
Right.
So council needs to determine who their customer is and what their need is, and then that will drive the strategic plan, which will then drive the budget.
Exactly.
Is that?
That's
okay.
exactly,
Okay.
So you're gonna add that? How might we?
It's called again? A compelling customer?
Compelling customers, well, there's compelling business case.
No, what's the customer one again?
Compelling customer, it could be compelling customer need. Compelling customer. Yeah,
Okay.
I have one.
really a business, compelling business need.
I just don't want to lose this in the mix of all of this stuff, because with respect to the capital asset management plan, it's a living document that the ministry requires on an annual basis, so changes always have to be made and sent in. So I want to say, how might we ensure that the capital asset management plan priorities align with the budget?
Yes.
Well, shouldn't it be the reverse?
Way around.
Should be the other way
But,
around.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess
How might we
it's
ensure capital asset plan?
plan
And budget are aligned,
and
how's that?
budget are aligned.
That's good.
Better, yeah.
Neb doesn't have to do it.
Yes, I think so.
I just meant if we do one,
Well,
we can.
usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To officiate marriages.
What? I thought you could.
Was there another one, yeah?
This
The
is sort of
clerk, the clerk
follow-
can marry, so, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. This is sort of following up on what Peter said. How might we educate the public regarding budgetary decisions? I mean, they're the people that are paying, so we need to educate them why we made those decisions.
Educate the public.
How might,
the decision-making.
One of the things I'm having difficulty with is if council's priorities are changing on a yearly basis, or how might those priorities align with mid and long-term budget goals?
That's what I was
So
thinking.
say that in a sentence, one sentence. How might the,
How might council's priorities align with mid and long-term budget goals?
okay? Want to wrap this down in a
Can,
minute?
can I go back to 17? I just
Yeah.
want to build on that. It's involve, I think, how might we involve the public about budgetary decisions? Right, involve the public in budgetary decisions.
there's two aspects, right?
Yeah,
One is at the beginning and the other
One
is
is
at the
end.
closing of the door. Yeah.
Educate and involve.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
I
was
know.
gonna say,
probably.
we have a bridge, it's gonna fall.
One more to make it an even 20?
Align with long-term, but somebody had, you had the Mary, okay.
Okay.
I have one.
It's not gonna tell us that it's written.
Keeping it secret.
Our priorities. Sustainability, right, and wealth creation, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so number 20, mine is, how might we ensure our capital investments generate long-term wealth?
Yes.
Anything else? No? Had to slip that in.
I know you did.
There's something about sustainability, like,
We have resilient, what do we
yeah,
have?
maybe that's, but that's resilient budget process,
13. No.
strategic plan and budget
How would we build a
protocol.
resilient strategic plan and budget protocol that is consistent with the framework to build on?
It was gonna be very divergent and say something like, how might we ensure that our community sustainability or something? But that's really a goal,
How might we, sorry, I missed it. How might we,
ensure community sustainability. It's very divergent because it's really a goal.
Can I build on that?
quickly,
How might, this is with regard to 21, I think we're talking about the budget and budget process, so I think, so how do we ensure that the budget and budget process contribute to community sustainability?
Richard, feel free to set up if you need to, so.
Right. Kojiko will soon be filming us from a smartphone. There's nothing to set up.
you have one?
Darren, I don't mean to belabor this, but I think you made a real good point about it's not just about wealth. I was gonna say, it's about the whole quality of life that we enjoy here in the town of Pelham. It is different compared to other communities, so
Long-term wealth and quality of life?
quality of life, people come here for a reason, for multiple reasons, right?
Okay, so I'll just add on there, how might we ensure our capital investments generate long-term wealth and a great quality of life?
Perfect.
Okay. All right, in your same groups, you should still have your stickers. You want to put 2 on the ones that are the most important, how might we, for your group. And again, you have to agree by consensus. You can't each pick one of your own. Let's try it.
This one's harder, 'cause there's much more. I know. Somebody did that to me. I wonder who. Yeah, I wonder. Where's on my ass?
You wonder who?
Yo, I said it jokingly.
Multiple choices?
It was either you or him.
Rhetorical question.
Not me.
So many of them.
Putting the asset management and the long-term goals together, be it varying or the other two that you mentioned or what I mentioned, or maybe one should box and they should go together.
I think so, because we can't lose sight of the Aspen Plan is now legislated, right? So-
Key driver, yeah.
So we need to do that for sure, and then, yeah. Be aware of the short-term goals. Yeah.
Get over here. Get in there.
Yes. I think that's a great one. Yeah, I think that's a perfect one.
I go 8 to 20, and into 8 will go
The 16. Yeah. That 20 will drive it anyway, because if you're doing long-term wealth, then you know, you're saying over our budgeting issues. Okay, good. It is.
You still have to be able to go on services that are
Oh, yeah.
I'll put that one. Continue with the other one.
How are you? Our gals.
I want to just go through it in box.
Friday the 13th.
Pushing the time, but if you don't do that,
You lose the
we
momentum.
can't start fresh on the challenge map.
So yeah, Friday the 13th. Things are good? You going to the Marquis on Saturday? Like, that's so obvious.
whatever, but we could all
Yeah.
go towards it. It'll be the first time, yeah, we don't freeze here.
Taking him with you?
Oh, yeah. I'm leaving them to trust me, Derek. I have a plan. How's it going? He's on for workout and we got a plan. So if he doesn't show up, I'll be there. I'll be sending this.
So sorry, we're being creative here.
No, but we are, no, Jared's
Saturday night we have a plan. Excellent. Or Friday, no, Saturday night. See you on time. Fantastic. Julia Rose, but I'm just great.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, yeah, okay. Are you good, are you picking your hand? Upstairs, remember?
Okay, if I could just have council take their seats again, we just want to finish up before we break for the regular council meeting. I'm in a box, and then that's it. Then we can start cleaning on challenge mapping in the next one. Okay, so I just want to quickly go through and have you briefly explain why you picked what you did. So number 8, one group picked Mary asset plan to mid and long-term goals.
Carrie and I did that, and it's 8 and 16, I think, go hand in hand. One can go into the other, but it's a matter, it's essential that we do have great concern for the asset management plan when we're doing our budgets, because that's going to tell us where we have to spend our money, not where we want to spend our money.
Good. Number 9, 3 groups picked. Adopt a budget that addresses our short-term financial needs.
Go ahead.
Basically, we want to be able to deal with our short-term needs and be able to accomplish what we need to now to be able to accomplish our long-term needs.
Same?
Same? Anybody else? Good, okay. Number 10, how may we save and plan for medium long-term budget goals? One group picked that.
Andrew and I picked that. Once we get all this figured out, we'll need to save and plan for those long-term goals.
Okay, number 11, develop our annual strategic plan before the budget. One group picked that.
By reviewing our strategic plan before the budget might help us better focus on what budget items should be important to us.
Yeah. Number 13, 3 groups, build a resilient strategic plan and budget protocol that is consistent and a framework to build on. 3 groups picked that. Who picked that and why?
Consistent with what the others were mentioning, that the budget protocol itself is something that's a living, breathing document, but adopts to any kinds of changes. And I use the example, we don't want to be caught where there's peaks and valleys. We want to be in a position that we can handle and meet our mandatory requirements along with any of those other projects that, Marvin was mentioning, those priorities are identified. That's it.
Okay. Another group picked that, yeah.
We picked it because we thought if we nail that, we're probably addressing most
Right.
of the other points on there
Correct.
about ticking off, checking on asset plan and short, medium, long term, all of them, if it's a solid protocol.
Okay. And one more group. Yeah.
It's covered.
Okay. Number 16, ensure capital asset plan and budget are aligned. One group picked that.
Again, just because as Kerry pointed out, the capital asset plan is mandated and watched over by the Ontario government, so the budget definitely has to stick close to that.
Good. Number 18, council priorities align with mid and long-term goals. One group picked that. Who picked that and why?
We did. Counselor King and I guess it's, because council's priorities seem to change, on a regular basis, on a yearly basis, that they still need to understand and focus on the medium and long-term goals when they're setting their priorities.
Not as bad as
Okay, great. Number 20, 3 groups picked to ensure our capital investments generate long-term wealth and a great quality of life. Who picked that and why?
Carrie and I picked that. This is what we're here for. We want to make sure that we're sustainable, and by being sustainable, we become a community of choice for people to live, play, and work here. So that's the key to the whole exercise.
Good.
Ditto.
Same thing?
Yep.
Same thing?
Yep.
Okay, very quickly, we've got only about 3 or 4 minutes, so I want to box your key how might we's, and then we'll leave it there, and then what we can do is when we come back, we'll have your key how might we's ready to go for a challenge map. And that gives us the opportunity to spend some good time on a challenge map, which I think is really where the value is gonna come out. So, based on what you heard, are there any areas that you would like to see boxed?
Probably 20 and 13, are those the ones?
So number 20, ensure capital investments generate long-term wealth and great quality of life. Does anyone disagree with boxing that? Okay. And what was the other one?
One with the,
13, build a resilient strategic plan and budget protocol that is consistent and a framework to build on. Box 13. Okay. Anything else?
Darren, I'm just going to do a commercial here.
Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, those that are going to be presenting especially. We're just completing a portion of a meeting that we started at 5 o'clock, so it's part of our creative problem-solving process. So, but thanks for being here, and we'll get to you in a sec.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
Anything else? So, just asking as a fact-finding question, one of the things was addresses our short-term financial needs. That is a question that council is going to be dealing with immediately. Is that something that you think would be worthy of boxing?
Yes, considering, yeah, the challenges we're facing, we might as well, we gotta deal with
Yes.
it anyways.
Yes.
Anything else?
I think we have to do the 16.
Okay, so how might we ensure that our capital asset plan and the budget are aligned? Anyone disagree with that? No?
And 8 would go into that as well, because they pretty well say the same thing.
8, how might we marry our asset plan and mid and long-term goals, and that's the same thing, okay?
And I think
Or should go into one of those as well.
Number 4, council and staff understand asset management. That could either go in 9, or it could go in 16.
I think it goes into 9. It's still
9?
the asset plan. No, sorry, 16.
16.
Sorry.
And what was that again, 4?
4.
And I think 10 goes into 16. Save and plan for the medium-long-term budget goals. And that's ensuring your capital asset plan and budget are aligned, right?
Good. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I think that's great. I think we've got a great place to start with this, with the challenge map, and I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Can you put 11 into 13? What do you think?
Really want that, eh?
Doesn't matter.
11 into 13. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go there.
Okay, now I turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Darren. Appreciate that. And I'm looking to the clerk for the, so we're going to, so Darren, the next steps, can you just outline the next steps for council?
Well, the next step would be to come back and take the 3 areas, the 3 how might we's that you, 4 how might we's that you boxed, and then you start on a challenge map to lay out your roadmap for achieving what you're trying, the problem you're trying to solve.
And I wonder, we can do one of two things. We can adjourn the meeting and then call another meeting,
Or you can recess.
or we can recess, depending on how late it is this evening, and carry on this evening or another time. The problem with recessing, if we don't get to it tonight, is that it sort of sits there in abeyance, like a council meeting a couple of times ago. So what I propose is that we recess, and depending on where we are tonight, we either reconvene or we adjourn. Okay? Does that make sense from your perspective? You prefer adjourn?
Yep, let's
I'd
recess.
rather we adjourn.
Need a motion to recess?
Do you need, yeah.
We're hearing different things. The clerk, Madam Clerk, you're suggesting adjournment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if we want to have a quality challenge mapping exercise, it may be important for council to receive a copy of the minutes ahead, which includes all of these notes. So if we adjourn, I can send those minutes ahead, and that might provide better tools to move to the next step. Respectfully,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. So I'll take that as a good idea. It's been moved by Councilor King that the special meeting of Committee of the Whole be adjourned until the next regular committee meeting scheduled for Monday, October 5th, 2015, unless sooner called by the mayor. I'm going to call the question on that. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Some motions, I'm going over to Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you very much, John.